It's Friday, May 27. In the headlines, Belize supports Jamaica's bid for Commonwealth Secretary General post. Fire guts arcade in St. Thomas. Finance Minister says private sector is an engine for economic growth. Regionally, beware of the new trend called sextortion. And in sports, it will be the full force of the West Indies team as they go head-to-head with the Netherlands. This is the news on PBC Jamaica. I am Simone Absalom Gale. Portmore is one of the communities in the Caribbean that has the most young professionals. So says a Member of Parliament for St. Catherine Southeastern, Robert Miller. He says his job is to bring more opportunities for the residents of Portmore and highlighted some of the changes for the area.
I just want to bring opportunities to these young professionals and also the elderly to plan programs that will enhance their lives and to give them an opportunity to do business and to actually stay in Portmore. But Port Henderson Road in particular, that's affectionately known as Back Road, it's my intention to create that area in an entertainment hub. As you know, recently the Minister of Culture and Entertainment, Bob Grange, stated that the Jam World facility will be transformed into a mini stadium and an entertainment zone. And I'm looking forward towards that opportunity. The Honorable Everett Warmington, Minister of Works, stated that there is going to be a park in the constituency that I represent that will cater to the entire Portmore. That will be a park similar to that of Emancipation Park with more amenities.
Hailing the recent opening of the Price Mart in Portmore, Mr. Miller is encouraging more businesses and entrepreneurs to see Portmore as the right choice of location.
It's a great idea. You know, we want to move the side of commerce down there. That's without saying that will create more opportunities. And we encourage persons to invest in Portmore. As a matter of fact, as I stated earlier, that Portmore boasts the capacity of human resources. And the human resources are there, but we try to encourage people to own their own businesses. As a matter of fact, you know, Portmore can hold it. You know, it's well poised, it's close to highways, it's close to the byways, the harbor, etc. So it's an area that is poised for opportunity and it's open for business.
Vendors at the Morant Bay Arcade are still picking up the pieces following a fire last week. Deputy Superintendent at the Morant Bay Fire Station, Horace Thomas, says the early morning fire damaged 70% of the property. He says one unit was deployed.
We were further aided by a responding unit from Yalas. The fire was confined to the arcade, and at the end of the assessment, 70% in our estimation of the arcade has been destroyed.
Mr. Moore is a shoemaker who rents a stall at the arcade.
Now me rush, when me come, and this me come say, when I'm a machine and burn up, people them shoes burn up, just about everything burn up, so I don't know what happened after this, but see it there.
Mrs. Geranda Murray Thomas, a dressmaker, says she lost everything.
The inside burned right out, everything burned out, so I lost everything.
Councillor for the Morant Bay Division, Rohan Bryant, describes the incident as a sad one.
This is right in front of one of my business place, family thing, you know, and you know, just to come and see the kind of high soar that this create in the little town again. You know, everybody in the arcade is a friend of mine, every one of them, and you know, it is so sad. This is such a sad day.
He says the St. Thomas Municipal Corporation is responsible for the property and it will be working to renovate it.
Honestly, you know, we had planned for this place here for the longest a while. And this might just help to speed up the process, I don't know. You know, maybe I don't want to talk too fast, too early on this thing, but it's just sad. But like I said, it belongs to the parish council.
Yet another country has officially endorsed the candidature of current Foreign Affairs and Foreign Trade Minister, Senator Kamina Johnson-Smith, for the post of Commonwealth Secretary General. This time, it's from Belize. Giving his comments on the endorsement, Belize's Prime Minister John Bersinio said Minister Johnson Smith has a wealth of experience being in her second term as Foreign Affairs Minister. He says that Johnson Smith chairs numerous regional and international committees and has articulated a vision for the Commonwealth that he believes it needs. He further notes that Johnson Smith has demonstrated the capacity to unify and promote collaboration and cooperation for the development of each Commonwealth member state. Prime Minister Andrew Holness, in an Instagram post, stated, quote, Belize's support for Minister Johnson Smith's candidature is deeply appreciated and confirms that she has been a strong, consistent and effective voice within CARICOM and in international fora, characteristics she will bring to the post of Commonwealth Secretary General, end quote. Minister Johnson Smith has also expressed appreciation for Belize's endorsement. This endorsement comes days after the Republic of India formally announced its support for Johnson Smith, adding to the growing number of countries to do so. The Jamaica Labour Party councillor caretaker for the South Borough Division in Portmore St. Catherine, Lennox Hines, was shot dead by gunmen on Thursday evening. Police confirmed that Mr. Hines was killed under a bridge along Marcus Garvey Drive in St. Andrew. It's reported that Mr. Hines was waiting in traffic when two men rode up on a bike and opened fire on him before riding away. The incident caused a backup of traffic along the thoroughfare, forcing police to issue an advisory for motorists to divert from the area. The public is being invited to participate in a Women's Health Summit set to be held on International Day of Action for Women's Health, May 28, 2022. It will be held on the lawns of ACE Total Healthcare at 4 Hillcrest Avenue. Director of InSync Health Wellness Beauty, Kimberly Hoffman, the convener of the event, says it is a nod to the acknowledgement of women's rights to health.
I thought it was important to bring this event here in Jamaica. We have a lot of women's health issues that's kept on the radar, like for instance, the maternal mortality rate is at 80 per 100,000 live deaths, and that's pretty high. We have one of the highest in the world. And the incidence of PCOS is 1 in every 10 women. So I think it's important for us to share this information, to educate, to empower and inform women on women's health as much as possible.
Ms. Hoffman, who is a trained physiotherapist, says participants will be exposed to accurate, evidence-based information on issues pertaining to their health.
I'm hoping that I'll be able to educate women on issues pertaining to women's health, such as endometriosis, PCOS, and infertility. I would like them to know more of the holistic benefits or the holistic treatment options that are available for them to utilize, because a lot of women, I think it's either surgery or medication, but that's not the only option. There's exercise, weight loss management, there is mental health aspect to it as well, and they can get help from a psychologist. So we'll also have one on the panel. And even physiotherapy, for instance, women with endometriosis, they have a lot of pain, and I think the only thing they can do is take painkillers, but physiotherapy can help with the pain that you feel during your period. There are lots of modalities that we use that can help women with their pain, and we'd like them to know this information and for them to also know that that kind of care is available right here in Jamaica.
Participants must register for the event online.
All right, so whether you're registering for in-person or online, it's the same registration process. You can find the link on my Instagram page at the Women's Health Physio, or you can call 804-3665 and someone will help you with the registration process. The only difference between selecting in-person or virtual is a button that you'll click. You'll click in-person or you'll click virtual. Depending on what you click, that's the information you'll get. You'll either get the link for the virtual or you'll get the details for the in-person.
Minister of Finance and the Public Service, Dr. Nigel Clark, says the private sector is an engine of economic growth. We have more in this report, plus your usual market updates in this business report with Danita Rodney.
We all believe that the private sector is the engine of growth of an economy.
That was Finance Minister Dr. Nigel Clark speaking at the visibility ceremony between the European Union, the Government of Jamaica, and the Inter-American Development Bank. In his keynote speech, Dr. Clark sought to clarify what and who is meant by the private sector.
By private sector, we mean every institution, every person, every sole trader, every business that is not in the public sector. And that definition encompasses over 30,000 enterprises in Jamaica, ranging from sole traders to small businesses to medium-sized businesses.
Dr. Clark went on to explain what the vision for Jamaica and the private sector looks like.
The Jamaica that we envision is one where this sector is vibrant. Financing is the oxygen of business, and we envision a future where this sector has the oxygen that it needs to survive and to thrive and to flourish.
Now for your market updates. In foreign exchange trading for Thursday, May 26, the US dollar sold for an average of $155.41. The Canadian dollar ended trading at $121.16. The pound sterling traded for $194.05, and the euro sold for an average of $167.23. The following reflects the movement of the GSE indices in Thursday's trading session. The GSE index declined by 693 points to close at over 300,000 units. The junior market index advanced by 76 points to close at over 4,000 units. The combined market index advanced by 1,330 points to close at over 300,000 units. And the All Jamaican Composite Index advanced by 2,244 points to close at over 400,000 units. Overall market activity resulted from trading in 103 stocks, of which 58 advanced, 30 declined, and 15 traded firm. Stocks advanced for 138 Student Living Jamaica Limited Variable Preference, 1834 Investments Limited, and Berger Paints Jamaica Limited. Stocks declined for 138 Student Living Jamaica Limited, Access Financial Services Limited, and Barita Investments Limited. Trading firm were AMG Packaging and Paper Company Limited, CAC 2000 9.5% Cumulative Redeemable Preference Shares, and Caribbean Assurance Brokers Limited. The following companies represents the overall volume leaders: Sagicor Select Funds Limited Financial with over 3 million units, Wigton Wind Farm Limited Ordinary Shares, and Trans-Jamaican Highway Limited with over 2 million units. In regional stocks, in Trinidad and Tobago, Clico Investment Fund was the volume leader with over 1,000 shares, followed by Calypso Macro Index Fund with 11 shares being traded. On the Barbados Stock Exchange, Government of Barbados Bond Series B was the volume leader with over 86,000 shares. They were followed by Goddard Enterprises Limited, which traded over 1,000 shares, and Epley Caribbean Property Fund Value Fund with 197 shares. In market data for oil prices edged lower on Friday, supported by the prospect of a tight market due to the rising gasoline consumption in the United States and also the possibility of an EU ban on Russian oil. Brent crude was down 20 cents or 0.2% at $117.20, and West Texas Intermediate crude fell 40 cents or 0.4% to $113.69 a barrel. And that was the Weekend Business Report on PBCJ. I'm Danita Rodney.
In regional news, new details are emerging about a cyber threat targeting young people. It's called sextortion. It involves online predators who solicit compromising photos or videos from youngsters, which are then used to blackmail them. Over in the United States, there have been thousands of reported cases and even one where a 17-year-old boy committed suicide. Highlighting the issue on the Morning Report on TV8 Barbados, Director of Drug Education and Counseling Services, Roger Husbands, confirms that sextortion is also occurring in Barbados.
And what happens here is that young people, and I've only discovered about 2 cases of young people who would have gone on the internet and show someone who they figure and thought was a girl was a grown big man or gentleman who is behind the scene, this screen, asking them to perform acts on the internet and while they are being recorded, but the child does not know they're being recorded and believe that this is just a play thing, just a little fun thing. Maybe they want to get the person who they feel is a girl, they want to satisfy the person who they feel is a girl, and end up taking the clothes off and being able to perform acts so that the person can record them.
Mr. Husbands wants parents and children to be extra vigilant. He says these incidents need to be reported to police as there is protection under the Computer Misuse Act.
The laws of Barbados governs and protects you, and therefore you don't have to be afraid to talk to somebody about it. You don't have to be afraid to go to the police about the situation and let them deal with it, because this person or persons need to be dealt with by the law. So that other young people are not affected by this situation. So therefore, I want to encourage anybody who might be going through it, maybe adult, maybe child, to go to the police and report this matter, because if we can get one or two of these gentlemen or females, because also it could happen to big women who are home videotaping little young girls or maybe little young boys, whoever it is need to be dealt with by the law.
Parents and guardians concerned that their children are victims of sextortion are being urged to look out for the telltale signs of suspicious behavior where children may become withdrawn or spending a significant amount of time online. Mr. Husbands is also urging parents to seek counseling for those caught up in such scams to avoid a worst-case scenario.
And this process is complete through the police, get the child some counseling, because this is traumatic for some, especially the two that we had, and it was very traumatic, to the point that it might even cause youngsters to think of killing themselves.
CARICOM Chairman and Prime Minister of Belize, John Brasinho, has revealed efforts to scam regional leaders have failed. It appears someone purporting to be a high-level United Nations official attempted to contact several CARICOM heads to advise them of a substantial grant from the Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation to be distributed to its ongoing poverty alleviation program.
As soon as he was back and forth realizing that these people are kind of not really identifying themselves, it's the WhatsApp of the Secretary General, he became a bit suspicious. And then when he messaged me, and then I said, you know what? I said, I did not speak to the person, they were just messaging. I said, I think that's a scam. I immediately said, I think that's a scam. And what convinced him that it was a scam, when they were asking him, well, for us to be able to send this money for you, you need to make a deposit in a company, in a bank in China. I mean, those are all the red flags, and that's when we said we end right here. And so that's it. That's it.
Okay, so I'm confused.
So Belize was not exposed. We were not one of the 3 countries picked, and no country has been exposed.
Okay, so I'm confused. Is that Ms. Motley, she spoke with someone on the phone?
She did not. She just said, you are going to be contacted. She called me and said, you're going to be contacted by the Secretary General of the United Nations. She's close to him. She chairs one of the subcommittees of the United Nations. Actually, on Sunday, I met her at the airport on her way to the United Nations, and just said that. And then so the message came, and we spoke. That's it.
Someone purported to be the Secretary General.
Yes, apparently it seems that they captured his WhatsApp. Okay. And I think that has happened to people here in Belize, when I said, hey, you at a polo, send me this code that they give you, that kind of thing. So they captured his it seems that they've captured his WhatsApp and using that to try to scam those countries.
Independent Senator Anthony Vieira says time has come for Trinidad and Tobago to make the Caribbean Court of Justice the final appellate court, moving away from the United Kingdom-based Privy Council. More in this report from Ayana Carter.
The writing is on the wall. It is time to move on. Do we need to be unceremoniously booted out?
Speaking during the debate of the private motion to recognize the CCJ as the final court of appeal for Trinidad and Tobago, Independent Senator Anthony Vieira stated that the time had come for this country to completely separate from its colonial past by replacing the Privy Council with the CCJ. He justified stating the people need a court where the judges have an appreciation for Trinidad and Tobago and Caribbean culture, norms and values. He also highlighted the high costs associated in having matters heard at the Privy Council level, noting it is not a feasible option for many in the Caribbean community.
Suffice to say, given the staggering costs involved, unless parties are represented by lawyers who are acting pro bono, the Privy Council is not accessible to most citizens. As one commentator put it, it is only the wealthy and the wicked who go to the Privy Council.
Senator Vieira noted that the CCJ is a court of integrity, free from political interference or influence, easily accessible and overseen by intelligent, highly qualified judges from the Caribbean community.
It is time to square the incongruities and the contradictions. It is time to take responsibility for our future. What has been need not always be. It is time for Trinidad and Tobago to accede to the CCJ in its appellate jurisdiction so that our civil, criminal, and constitutional appeals can be heard by that court. A court, I have every confidence, is fully up to the task.
The motion needs 2/3 support in the Senate and 3/4 support in the House of Representatives to be passed. Ayana Carter, TTT News.
Meanwhile, Attorney General Reginald Armour told the Senate that the Keith Rowley administration was in favor of joining the CCJ. A government senator in Bermuda has defended the continued use of a controversial travel authorization form that all tourists and returning residents have to fill out at a cost of $40, despite complaints from the opposition party, which has branded it a stealth tax and called for it to be scrapped. Junior Health and Finance Minister Ariana Hutchinson told the Upper House on Wednesday that even if all other emergency COVID-19 measures are dropped, the government needs the money generated from the travel authorization, which was introduced in 2020. Hutchinson said getting rid of the $40 payment before its planned end date of March next year would mean cutting services, raising taxes, and borrowing money. The travel authorization, which was $75 until last March, generated an estimated $14 million for government coffers last year and will rake in some $22 million more during the current fiscal year. Arriving passengers must pay for the form and are barred from entry if they fail to fill it out correctly. In sports, Reggae Boys head coach Paul Hall says he will be taking no chances in the upcoming Nations League. This comes off the heels of the massive 6-0 defeat against hosts Catalonia in Wednesday's friendly in Spain. The Reggae Boys are scheduled to play against Suriname home and away in their opening round of the Nations League on June 4 and June 7 respectively. They will then come up against Mexico on June 14. Last Thursday, the Jamaica Football Federation, JFF, named an experienced 20-man squad for the Nations League. They are Andre Blake, Damian Lowe, Richard King, Javane Brown, Devon Williams, Ravel Morrison, Tyreek McGee, Leon Bailey, Rolando Aarons, Shamar Nicholson, Amari Bell, Jamoy Toppy, Kaheem Paris, Junior Flemings, Jamal Lowe, Amal Knight, Atafaroy Bygrave, Daniel Green, Okoyesa Chong, and Kenroy Campbell. Head coach Phil Simmons has given the assurance West Indies will play at full intensity despite coming up against unfancied Netherlands in the 3-match one-day international series starting in Amstelveen next week. The Caribbean side raked in 9th, 5 spots above their opponents, who are ICC associate members and are heavy favorites to pull off a clean sweep of the series scheduled for the VRA cricket ground. However, Simmons says West Indies are taking the series seriously and would not be using it as a trial for the newer players, even though the Netherlands were not necessarily top-tier position. The tour will be the first ever ODI series between the two teams and will run from May 31 to June 4. It forms part of the ICC ODI Super League, the top 7 of which gain automatic qualifications for the 2023 World Cup. Following the series, West Indies will head to Pakistan, where they take on a strong home side in a similar 3-match series from June 8 to June 12. Time for our entertainment scoop with ECAP's host Alicia. Hey Alicia.
Sin, my girl, wagwan. On this week's entertainment recap, we have enough niceness. Tanya Stevens collaborated with Cedella Marley and Diana King. Skeng arrested and pepper sprayed at the Norman Manley International Airport. Birthday shout-outs, new music, and a whole heap more, right? So join us this Saturday at 8:30 p.m. on PBC Jamaica for entertainment recap with your girl, Alicia. And guess what? Big up you!
Thanks, Alicia. This week, Heritage came to life on the grounds of the Mona Heights Primary School when Jamaica celebrated their first ever Africa Day under the fitting theme, Jamaica, Africa, One Family. Raquel Robinson reports.
The history of the island is riddled with complexities, sorrows and joy, haunting truths, and trauma and triumph. On May 5, 1494, Christopher Columbus, the European explorer, first set foot on the island's soil, instigating the beginning of the end. The beginning of the end for one chapter, pivoting at the start of another. The next chapter began in 1513 when the first Africans arrived in Jamaica from the Iberian Peninsula, that journey which led us to where we are now. The passive and active fight for freedom by our African ancestors led to Jamaica's independence, and on May 25, we celebrated with pride the lineage of a mighty race. Executive Director of the Institute of Jamaica, Vivian Crawford, participated in the celebration at Mona Heights Primary.
Africa Day means to me a part of the journey of memory, where my ancestors came from Africa forcibly.
The celebration of Africa Day has given a sense of pride to Africans and their descendants, just like Nigerian-born head of the Department of Technical Theatre and Design at Edna Manley, Emmanuel Nachukwu.
I think it's beautiful. From what I can see, there has been quite an attempt to recapture the authentic thing. I'm quite impressed with the Nigerian corner. There is a true reflection of my country, Nigeria. I am from Nigeria. And, I think the display of culture was quite good there.
Ten hut! A lapa or larpa, or what we commonly know as a hut, is a structure that usually consists of a thatch roof supported by wooden poles, creating an open-sided enclosure. African lapas are commonly used as a semi-open entertainment area, and the word lapa derives from the Sesotho word for homestead or courtyard. But housing a roof over our heads to keep us safe from the things that go bump in the night isn't the only thing that we've adopted. Clothes are quite important to us today, a way to show our individuality or a way to show conformity and affiliations with a group. But African clothes carry their own meaning as well. African clothing can also be used as symbols of creativity, status, and allegiance to African tribal roots. Gold represents wealth and fertility, red representing tension, blue represents love and peace, green represents prosperity and life, and white represents spirituality and purity. Foods represent a source of nourishment. Traditionally, the various cuisines of Africa are usually a combination of plants and seed-based dishes found on their land. In some parts of the continent, the traditional diet features an abundance of root tuber products. As I always say, don't yuck my yum. And as Jamaican people always say, music is food for the soul. And who else can move to the beat of their own drum like Africans? Now, yes, of course, the history of all these things can be told through books. But what of another way? A way filled with colors, with emotions, evokes laughter, fear, lessons, and a sense of community. It is the way the ancestors, how history was originally taught. The history of all these things can be told through stories. Storyteller extraordinaire, Writer and director of children's play and contemporary stories, Amina Blackwood agrees.
We talk about storytelling as the vehicle of memory. In Burkina Faso, they have 5 elements. We learn earth, wind, fire, and water. And to that, they add storytellers. That's how important we are.
Reporting for PBCJ News, I'm Raquel Robinson.
That's the news on PBC Jamaica. Remember to follow us on all social media pages at PBC Jamaica. Thanks so much for watching.